There's a small detail in Darragh Ennis's origin story that most casual viewers of The Chase probably never think twice about, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Before he became the Menace, before the black coat and the theme music and the reputation for grinding contestants down with sheer breadth of knowledge, there was a moment behind the scenes where he almost became someone else entirely. Someone called the Professor. And he said no. That single decision tells you more about Darragh Ennis than almost anything else in his television career, and it's worth sitting with for a moment, because it wasn't about branding or ego. It was about honesty. When producers first approached him about joining The Chase as a professional chaser, Ennis was still working as a research scientist at the University of Oxford. He'd already proven himself as a quizzer, memorably part of a winning team that defeated Paul Sinner, the Cinnamon, back in 2017, and the show clearly saw star potential in him. So naturally, the nickname pitch came fast, the Professor. It's the obvious choice. Academic background, sharp mind, the whole package. Except Ennis wasn't actually a professor, and that mattered to him more than you might expect. He's explained since that walking into his actual university job and calling himself the Professor on national television, while colleagues who'd spent decades earning that exact title watched on, felt wrong. Cheeky, in his own words, but the kind of cheeky that would have sat uncomfortably every single day he clocked in at the lab. It's a small thing, but it says something quietly important about who he is. Here was a man being offered an instant, ready-made television persona, a shortcut to recognizability, and he turned it down because it wasn't technically true. Many viewers who've since learned this detail have found themselves oddly moved by it. In an industry, and especially a corner of entertainment television, built on exaggeration, catchphrases, and larger-than-life alter egos, there's something almost refreshing about a quiz show villain whose first act was quietly correcting the record about his own job title. It also reframes how you watch him now. Every time Ennis rattles off an answer with that dry, unbothered confidence, there's a version of events where he's doing it under a title he didn't earn, playing a character built on borrowed prestige. Instead, he insisted on being introduced as something else, eventually landing on the Menace, a name Bradley Walsh gave him, and one that's arguably aged into something far more fitting anyway. Menace suggests danger, unpredictability, the sense that no category is truly safe from him. Professor suggests a narrow specialism. Anyone who's watched him explain that his real skill is knowing a little about almost everything, rather than being a deep expert in one field, understands immediately why the second name never fit. It's the kind of story that resurfaces every so often in interviews, and each time it does, it seems to land with viewers in the same way, as a small, human moment of integrity in a genre not exactly famous for it. Some people watching have said it changed how they see him entirely, less like a scripted television villain and more like someone who happened to be extremely good at trivia and got pulled into show business almost by accident. There's also something quietly funny about the timing of it all. He turned down a grand academic title, and within a few years he was one of the most recognizable geniuses on British television anyway, just under a name that was actually true to who he was, rather than who the show wanted him to appear to be. Maybe that's the real takeaway here. Not that a nickname got rejected, but that a small, easily overlooked decision about honesty ended up shaping the entire identity of a television personality millions of people now recognize instantly. It's easy to miss these moments in the noise of daily entertainment coverage. But once you notice them, they're hard to forget. What do you think? Does the Menace suit him better than the Professor ever would have? Let us know what you noticed, and whether you'd have made the same call he did.